I did talk to several of our members and thoroughly enjoyed that actually, to find out what they thought, because it's all very well coming to the centre. I helped cook meals on a Thursday, but then I'm not actually with the members, and so to have a chance to find out exactly what they think is really useful. I've been involved in some research as a student years ago, but only very little at Bournemouth University, and I actually didn't enjoy it very much because I felt that I was very much on the perimeter of it. Whereas with this project, it's something that I really feel we should have done years ago, because talking in committee meetings, we just didn't know how we could move ourselves forward. And it's also wonderful that we're including our members. I think the members are going to feel that they really have contributed. And I think that's very valuable actually. Well, I hope that we're going to be able to find out exactly what our members want. And I'd very much like to involve our NHS team. They're wonderful on a one-to-one, but I feel that they don't know enough of what we do here, and I hope that moving forward we can bring them into the centre so that they can help us more. I think this can only work as a positive thing actually, especially as we're going out to mates, which is our sort of evening group. Most of those people with MS are younger. A lot of them are working, and so perhaps we can find a way to get them to come to the centre by opening the evenings or at the weekends. I think it's very exciting. I think from the beginning you involved people who have multiple sclerosis, and I think that really ticks all the boxes. You have sort of explained everything, but you haven't told us what we were having to do. You involved us, so there's a team effort. I think working as a team was very important actually. If there was something that was written down, bullet points or something like that, it might have made it easier, not just for them to read, but perhaps for us to be able to go through those points. Because with MS, cognitively, we can struggle, and if it's in black and white, it can make it easier. And also, if we're going to bring outside bodies in, like the MS team, then I think that gives them something to focus on as well. I would like to have, as I said before, the MS team here. And I think if we've actually got something that we can present to them, this is what we've done, this is the research, this is what the outcomes are, then I think that's much more positive. And they could perhaps take something away with them.
We'll be able to get the opinion of so many different people that are involved with MS in many different ways. People are usually happier chatting to other members of their community rather than somebody from outside, and so hopefully we'll be able to get more understanding of exactly what they like and what's a problem for them, and maybe some suggestions. I've been involved in quite a lot of research, but it's always been a little bit, I suppose, stilted, because I've not known the person, or it's either been on paper, it's been some sort of questionnaire with no human input, or it's been talking to someone I've never met who I'm thinking, well, perhaps you don't know anything about MS. What's different is the involvement of friends, people I know, people I see regularly. In a way, it's the community doing the research. It's coming from a much more understanding point of view, the person that you're chatting to. And actually, quite a few of what I've seen going on here have just been friends chatting and being able to capture people's feelings in a much more relaxed way. I think one of the main things I think it will achieve is that people will feel they've been listened to. And I think that's really, really important, because very often you'll hear conversations, mainly here in the coffee room or even at mates meetings, where people are moaning about this or suggesting this, and you think, how is this ever going to go any further? But this way, I think people will have more confidence that, the MS Centre and what they go to and other parts of the community are actually wanting to help. And so I'm hoping that there may be ideas that come up, or maybe things will come up as being barriers that we'd never thought of, which are almost easily overcome, or certainly doable, So I think that will be really, really important. And also ideas, for how other things can be done. Because when you've got a centre for many, many people run by a very small number, it's difficult for that small number to be able to know all the ideas and know everything they need to take into account. I think the main thing is to be very, very clear from the beginning to everybody who may be involved exactly what you're doing and why. Because the minute people, in my experience, people hear the word research, they think, they just don't want to get involved. So I think the first thing is to decide what is your simple aim, what are you trying to achieve, and the thing is, if it's too much complexity, then people will be disenchanted, they won't want to take part. So my motto is always simple, simple, simple. But also, what we've done here, which I think has been very good, is we've had several meetings with those people who are going to be community researchers. We've had a meeting where we've gone through all the possibilities so that when it comes to talking to members of the wider community, it's put to them in an efficient way that's easy for them, ways that are easy to capture their responses, what they're going to say. Some people don't want to be on film, some people can't write. In this situation, it's very interesting. One of the main problems, many of the people with MS can't actually physically write, can express themselves and have ideas, but they can't. So we had to find other ways of capturing that information. The time spent thinking ahead, looking for things that might come up, but with members of the MS community on that group, has meant that it's gone a lot more smoothly than just charging in and thinking we'll do it this way. Apart from the meetings, my main role has been just spreading the word about what we're doing and why. I think it will be very important that we give good feedback to the people who've taken part, so that they know that it wasn't just that one day when people asking them questions, that's actually produced this outcome, or that's actually helped us in this way. And I think also it's important that the people who run the centre make sure that if there is anything that they've done off the back of this project, then that's made known to all the people using it, and also people using other parts of the community, that they know, they did listen, and actually they've changed this because of the fact that we made the effort to give our opinions.
Because I like to help people, so I like to chat to people to get information from them, to find out. It's nice because then you learn about how they found out that they've had MS and things like that, so it's nice to hear other people's stories. I like everybody who's here, but it'd be nice to have younger people, but then a lot of them are working. So I did meet somebody when I went to the hospital, and she's got MS, and I was like, oh yeah, you'll have to come to the MS centre, but she lives in Weymouth, so that's the distance factor, which is a shame. It makes me feel important because obviously where I've stopped working, it's nice to feel that I'm helpful to do something, so my brain is still functioning instead of just me either being in the wheelchair. With the MS, you need things to keep your mind occupied, otherwise you don't know what to do. It's nice because you're interacting with the people, but then luckily I get on with everybody here, so it's the fact that me asking the questions, it doesn't faze them, instead of Chrissy telling her stories instead, but they're giving their feedback too, which is good. Even like when you first come to the centre, you always ask the other people similar questions. You can talk about anything, you can talk about nappy pants, incontinence, but you can talk about anything without being embarrassed because of they've been there, they've done it. People here interact with each other, they all open up, so it's good, but then even people outside of here open up as well sometimes. But if you see somebody in a wheelchair or walking funny, you just feel like you've got an open door. Even then when I go out and I meet people and they've got something wrong with them, they quite happily open me up to me and just tell me everything.
I suppose it's communication, because we're not telling people outside, and all these people with MS that are not attending here are not finding out about it, and they should, because it's brilliant. It's so good. As well as ourselves, there are husbands and wives and carers that look after us out of the centre at home, in a home environment, and they are not getting the support. All the activities here are for not only the person with MS but for their carers and family as well, but there's not enough of that, and there's no support for them. That the community needs to make sure the area we touch spreads out to actually the carers and the family as well. Couples divorce because they can't cope, the men obviously can't cope, or the women can't cope. But if they had support and told it's going to be okay, you're not going to be left on your own. Well, I did a psychology degree, so I did a lot of research with that degree. So I do see the value of research, and it's so valuable. So this whole project is going to be fantastic. It'll open doors, open people's minds basically, which is going to be good. And lived experience is the best. Seeing to somebody who's actually been there and done that and knows what they're talking about, rather than talking to someone who's like, well, I think I know, has just been an observer, is much better. Yeah. Listening, really listening. Everyone's lived experience will be so different. There are so many different characters, and they are amazing hearing their stories. It really is such valuable stuff. They've all got such, and it does them good as well to be able to tell their view and speak about themselves. I'll go home feeling so much better at the end of the day. So you're making people feel better as well doing it, which is fantastic. End results got to be so that we all think, yeah, that was really good. They've really, really understood us. Just to know that someone's understood us as well and thought of something going forward that we can do would be fantastic. We together could make something better in this community. It'd be brilliant.
I suppose for me, it was facilitating everybody else, because I've been involved in such, research with the uni before and with PIER and everything. I suppose it feels like I'm able to help researchers understand what works for people in the community dealing with MS, and being able to say, actually, that doesn't work for me, or it doesn't work for us because it's a bit too complicated, or it's difficult to read, or and things like that. So it's just working out ways that are easier for us to be involved, as in terms of the community, us. Because I know if I see a survey, I'm like, I'm going to ignore it. But to try and engage more people with MS, I think. I've not had a huge involvement in research, mainly because often it's lots to read, and I don't like lots of text. And with one of the other research things we were doing, she was like, oh, can you just write me a bit about your involvement and how it's been? I'm like, no, I can't do that. We had a video call, and basically I dictated it to her and she could write it, and we just had the conversation. So I've always pulled back a bit from it. But this wasn't necessarily me having to read lots. It's just being involved in my experience, and I felt more like I was involved in steering it a bit more. In this project, I have loved the involvement of other people from the centre that wouldn't necessarily be involved in doing anything like this. And that's been really encouraging, actually, seeing how other people have been involved. I suppose I'm more doing the research and speaking to people because they probably speak to them more than I would, and so the other people wouldn't then necessarily open up a bit more because they're just talking to a friend. Them being involved has been a massive thing. Definitely the best thing out of this project. Seeing the outcomes, being a trustee of the centre, for us to be able to actually see what issues people have, what people would like, possibly like the NHS, for the team in Paul to understand what maybe some other people with MS, their issues are, that we can necessarily help with, that they can actually see, actually we're providing this service to people that aren't getting it at the moment but could be. The best thing was asking everybody that's involved in coming to the centre, asking them if they want to be involved, and having them then say, actually, yeah, I would like to be involved, I would like to help in some way.